Well, the latest climate change scare has officially been debunked. We have all the information for you here on Beyond the Headlines, only on Vigilant News. This segment is sponsored by Goldco, helping Americans protect their retirement and savings with real gold and silver at vnngold.com. I'm Elijah Schaefer. Let's start the show. Well, the Daily Skeptic reports that there's a new climate scare, and it's already been debunked. I know, shocker there. Everything you need to know before the mainstream media gaslights you. Last year, the mainstream public prints were full of net zero-inspired nonsense, claiming that the Gulf Stream could collapse by 2025. Now, classic green fear-mongering, of course, inspired by the 2004 Hollywood blockbuster The Day After Tomorrow, with its harrowing portrayal of weather-related natural disasters. Now, the overturning of the Atlantic meridional overturning circulation could plunge the North Atlantic into a new ice age and have dire weather impacts across the globe, according to a new study. Now, the author, Peter Ditzelven, or something like that, of the University of Copenhagen, told the constantly alarmed Guardian, "I think that we should be very worried. But this was a scare story too far, and even some scientists expressed doubt about it last year." Now, a new study has been published that points out this alarm about the collapsing Gulf Stream was contingent on unreliable climate models, and any collapse could occur from now to infinity. In other words, nobody knows. Not least because the uncertainties are too large to predict tipping times of major Earth systems and components from historical data. Pick your data, and the AMOC collapses tomorrow or the day after. Never. The new study is important since it effectively debunks much of the climate tipping point alarm that is commonly used to scare humanity to adopt the insane requirements of net zero. The paper is mainly concerned with AMOC and the Gulf Stream, but also refers to the Amazon rainforest and the Antarctic and Greenland ice sheets. It'll be very difficult to dismiss or get retracted since the four authors are connected to the Potsdam Institute for Climate Impact Research, a noted green activist scientific operation. Now, last year, for instance, when the AMOC scare was raging through mainstream media, Potsdam professor Stefan Ramstorff said that Ditzelven, if that's even how you say it, study added to the evidence that the AMOC's collapse is much nearer than we thought. We couldn't even rule out crossing the tipping point in the next decade or two, he added. The authors warned that uncertainties arise when models and mechanistic methods, along with historical data, these all need to be taken into account and propagated thoroughly before attempting to estimate a future tipping of any potential Earth system. In plainer language, this can be read as a need to check the garbage in before notifying the BBC and the Guardian of the garbage out. The big problem lies in the multiple levels of uncertainty inherent in extrapolating from historical data, referring to Ditzelven paper that caused such a stink last year. The authors say that they show that the uncertainties, mostly around sea surface temperature data, were too large to predict a tipping point for AMOC. Now, climate tipping points have proven to be the go-to scare for eco-extremists of late. In 2022, the BBC's chief green activist, Justin Rowald, presented a series of 5 radio programs in which he discovers how global warming may trigger irreversible changes to our planet. Needless to say, the word may did a lot of heavy lifting. Tipping point provided maximum alarm and minimal need for hard evidence. For instance, Rowland asked if Antarctica changes will flood coastal cities for centuries to come. No mention, of course, that the entire continent of Antarctica has shown little actual warming over the last 70 years at least. Rowland also discovers how global warming in the Arctic may trigger irreversible changes to our planet. Again, no mention that Arctic sea ice has shown small cyclical recovery over the last decade, or that Arctic was much warmer just a few thousand years ago. Rowlett signs off on a cheery note, asking if human society itself could be on the cusp of its own tipping point. King Charles is supposed to be a constitutional monarch above political promotion and decision-making in the UK. But this hereditary monarch is an eco-warrior of a long-standing, and he looks forward to the day that the world rids itself of hydrocarbon use. Now, his own massive footprint being no doubt granted a necessary exception, at last year's COP meeting in Dubai, he flew by private jet to wear his eco-crown. Now, as many of you know, that this tipping point and the movement upon that basically leaves us in a little bit of disarray. Now, as many of you also understand, they've also tried to kill a former president on TV. These people continue to lie about everything, and they've also covered everything up. Now, then they try to memory hole everything after we debunk them. You don't think they're going to come for you and your money? You don't think they're going to come for your livelihood? We're living in a different world today, and we're all bets off. And it's up to you to protect yourself and your family. That's why I want you to go to vnngold.com today. Learn about how the top-rated precious metals company Goldco can help you. They are a great company. They support the show. And for my listeners, you can get a 10% instant match in bonus silver on qualified orders. Whether you've got an IRA or you want to transfer a gold IRA, you got to go to Goldco and by typing in vnngold.com. Go to vnngold.com. Wake up before it's too late. If you think your retirement and savings are safe, they're not. Protect them with real gold and silver. Now, as I mentioned, people continue to debunk the lies that are told about climate change. Here's a 3-minute debunking. Watch.
What is climate change? I mean, I think the question that the young lady asked over here is very valid. Young people are highly intelligent, but I wonder whether they're being told, or which they're entitled to, all the facts in relation to this. When I asked, well, just around, Alice, you've been speaking for most of the night. When I asked Tanya Plibersek, was the deputy leader of the Labor Party and the potential deputy prime minister, was carbon dioxide the big issue in relation to climate change? And she said yes. I then said, well, that being the case, what percentage of the atmosphere is made up of carbon dioxide? What is causing climate change? Is it carbon dioxide?
Yes, carbon dioxide pollution is a major contributor.
Okay, so can I ask you, this is not a trick question, what percentage of the Earth's air is carbon dioxide?
Oh, I don't know.
And I say, hang on, you don't know what percentage of the atmosphere is carbon dioxide, and yet you're prepared to stand the economy on its head to address a problem, the detail of which you don't know. So when I then explained that the percentage of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, Alice, is how much? Alice, how much of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere?
To answer the question, Scott Morrison has said he believes in climate change and that he wants to do something about it.
Alice, how much carbon dioxide is the problem? How much carbon dioxide is there in the atmosphere?
I'm not a scientist. I don't know.
Well, hang on. If you're going to argue the case, you ought to know. It's 0.04%. And of that 0.04%, human beings around the world create 3%. And of that 3%, Australia creates 1.3%. But if carbon dioxide is 0.04% of the atmosphere, and human beings are responsible for 3% of that 0.04%, and Australia is responsible for 1.3% of the 3% of the 0.04%, it's like saying there's a granule of sugar on the Harbour Bridge. Clean the bridge up, it's dirty. Surely if a political party doesn't know the quantum of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, what the hell are we standing the economy on its head for? Demonising coal-fired power, driving everyone into renewable energy, which is not available, not reliable and not affordable, plonking us in electric cars, giving us nearly the dearest electricity in the world when we're rich in energy resources, exporting coal so that China and India and Japan can have cheap electricity. And we sit here swallowing this ideological rubbish, putting industry at risk, jobs at risk, and burying the economy.
If you like videos like this, don't forget to subscribe directly to our Rumble and our X accounts. We're at Vigilant News, or you can get our newsletter so that these videos are right in your inbox at vigilantnews.com. I'm Elijah Schaefer. This is Beyond the Headlines. Have a great rest of the week, and may God bless the United States of America. I'm signing out.